Hello, Assalamu alaikum everyone. Let's wait for another 1 minute and we can start the session officially. Thank you. Okay, Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome you all to the mentorship series. I would briefly introduce Mr. Bilal Asim. So, Bilal Asim has done his Oxford Healthcare Leadership Program from University of Oxford, and he has done his Masters of Public Health, Healthcare Administration from John Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. He's currently working as the head of business planning and development in Shalimar Institute of Health Sciences. He has also worked in John Hopkins Hospital, head of corporate services in Fatma Memorial, sales area sales manager Nestle, and territory sales manager Lafarge. So the topic for today's session is campus to corporate, student challenges and expectations. I'll hand over the mic to Mr. Bilal Asim.
Okay, hello everyone, good evening, and thank you very much, Yusra, for introducing myself. And I really appreciate the fact that many people accepted this invitation to then become part of this session. So, is my screen accessible to all of you? Are you all able to see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay, great. Yusra told a bit about myself. So I'm currently working as head of business planning and development at Shalimar Institute of Health Sciences. I completed my MBA from LUMS 11 years ago. I graduated in 2013, and then I did my second master's in public health from Johns Hopkins University, and also did my executive leadership program at Oxford. Uh, Thank you very much for attending this session. And what we are going to cover today is we are going to know each other. We will understand the corporate expectations. So, what the corporates would expect when many of you would be joining different organizations in few months' time, or next year, or in few years. Why lifelong learning and adaptability is important, why you should consider that, and why it is important. We will also talk about networking skills, building professional relationships. We'll also talk about financial literacy, corporate benefits, why they are important, why you should consider about financial literacy and corporate benefits. And in the end, we will also talk about personal wellness and impact of personal wellness on professional success. Some housekeeping information, turn your camera on, but this is optional. It's not mandatory for all of you, but it's better to turn your camera on. Mute yourself so that there's no disruption. We all can focus on this session. Post questions in the chat. I will try to answer all the questions in the end. But if you think something, you have some really burning questions, you want attention, just raise your hand and I'll address your questions. Meanwhile, otherwise, I'll prefer to answer all the questions in the end, and you can post your questions in the chat or you can ask whatever way you feel more comfortable. Before we start, I have already introduced myself, and I request all of you to just post your current status in chat, which school you are from, and what is your major. Just a very brief, a very short introduction of yourself.
Come on, everyone. Which school are you in? What is your major? And which year? Let's see who goes first.
Okay, thank you, Najam, and welcome to the session. No one else? Okay, junior at SSC, CS, nice. Thank you, Tamor. Okay, we can move on to the next part. And so I'll keep the presentation very short and very crisp, and so that we spend most of the time on discussion and answering your questions and what your expectations are. So now, as many of you are graduating this year or graduating in 1 or 2 years time, so moving from your corporates, from your academic life to the corporate culture is a transition. A first major transition in your life was when you started going to the school, and this is going to be the second biggest transition of your life from university to the corporate life. So there are some differences. So a basic understanding of these differences, I assume, is very important, so that when you start working, what should you expect? In your academic life, your structure is mostly organized around semesters, your courseworks, and in exams. However, in the corporate life, it's a bit different. You are driven by projects, deadlines, and performance metrics. Responsibilities, currently all the responsibilities of your academic life are very individual, even though you folks works on different assignments, group presentations, but most of the components of your grades are your individual responsibilities. However, in the corporate, most of you would be working on in a team oriented work where there are shared goals and everyone is working together to achieve the goals of a single organization. In academic life, you are evaluated based on your grades, and however, in the corporate life, you will be evaluated on your key performance indexes or your annual appraisals or feedback from your boss. So, in your academic life, you get your grades only twice a year, maybe at the end of each semester if you are also studying in the summer, maybe during the summer semester as well. But in the corporate, your KPIs in many organizations is your daily responsibility. Your academic life is much more flexible. You are someone who will bear the responsibility. You can decide at your own flexibility. Even though corporates are introducing flexible work hours, flexible projects, deadlines, agile work, but still uh, it's more structured, because you is not just your individual performance, it's a team performance. And learning and development, in case of most of the courses you're studying, are theoretical with a little flair of the practical skills. However, in the corporate, the emphasis would be more on your practical skills and continuous professional development. So I have another question from all of you. So when a student is of all of you are going to join different corporates in some time. So what are your expectations from employers? What do you expect how employers should treat you? What are your expectations whenever from your first job or whenever you start working after the university? So just post into the chat, and I would love to hear from all of you. What are your expectations? Anyone?
Guys, come on. What do you think will your employer look like? And and what expectations would he keep from you, you from him?
If you're not comfortable sharing into the chat, you can open your mic and just say it whatever way you feel comfortable. Okay, we can ask Yusra. So Yusra, when you joined LAMP, what were your expectations? Or whenever you started working for your first job, what were your expectations? What were you looking forward to?
So, my first job was a remote job with a Canadian company, and I was expecting a very firm and a very, you know, जैसे कि bosses होते हैं उस type का boss. But my boss, the CEO, I had to directly report to him. He was gem of a person, and he was very kind. It was my first job. He taught me everything from the scratch. So
Okay.
I did not expect that from him, but it turned out great.
Mm. Okay, great. So Abdul Makid expected would be work, work. Okay, sure. So a lot of people have very wide types of expectations. Some people expect fair pay, some people expect good working environment, some people expect really good salary. So there are a lot of things which everyone expect, and it's very individualistic, but there are very few things which are very common. So thank you very much, Yusra, for sharing your expectations. At the end, other side will also, when students are expecting for good salary, good working environment, promotions, good appraisals, good learning opportunities, at the same times, employers do have expectations from the new hires, especially the people who are starting their career at the beginning. So some of the expectations which employers do have, and which the all of you should consider, are professionalism, how reliable you are, and how much accountability you give to yourself, your appropriate behavior, you're a cultural fit or not, how good you are for the team work, how collaborating and collaborative you are, how adaptable you are, and how much flexibility do you have to adopt the changing circumstances and tasks. So these are few expectations which every employers do have, especially when they're actually they do have these expectations from everyone, but particularly from someone who is joining as an intern or as an MT or at the beginning of their career. Although they all these personality traits, this cultural fit, appropriate behavior, everything is very important. But one thing which I myself give a lot of importance is adaptability. So because the we all are working in an environment which is changing at a very fast pace, both in Pakistan as well as globally. So adaptability is very important. So you have, when you walked into your office for the first day, you do have some expectations, you do have some challenges in your mind, but the work environment is changing very abruptly. So it is very important to keep yourself flexible and keep yourself open to learning new things, new ideas, and adapting yourself to all the innovation and disruption happening around. How you can do this, because this might be a challenge for many of us. Actually, this is a challenge for all of us, one way or the other way, but how we can adapt to these challenges. So always, for the new joiners, try to understand the bigger picture in a way that if a certain task is assigned to you, so for you it might be, don't just look it from your perspective, look it from the perspective of how much value it is going to add to the entire organization. And don't just focus on what, also focus on why. Because if why is clear, why this task is assigned to you, why this task is important for your line manager, why this task is important for your line manager, for your organization, for your department, if you understand why, what would become very easy for you, and you would be more happy and more engaged. And even those, if you are not clear on why, do ask your line manager, and they will definitely be happy to answer your questions. Show your passion and commitment, continuous learning, adapt the keep learning. uh, every day there are new ideas, new innovations, new technologies which are coming into the market, and always stay curious. This is a graph which tells us how fast innovation and disruption is happening around us. When telephone was invented, it took it 900 months to reach 100 million users. When internet was invented, it took it 80 years, approximately 7 8 years, to reach to first 100 million users. But it took only 2 months to chat GPT to reach first 100 million users. So you can easily understand how fast innovation is happening around us, and how challenging your career would be, because you have to work in the environment where disruption and changes are happening at a very fast pace. Uh, why continuous learning is important? When I completed my BBA in 2010, Power BI was not released then. Big data, artificial intelligence, deep learning was unheard in 2013 when I completed my MBA from LUMS. Market capitalization of NVIDIA was only $9 billion at that time. Today, it is the highest capitalization in the world, the biggest company in the world in terms of market capitalization. It is more than $3 trillion. OpenAI was founded in 2015 when I was working on my second job. So it is important for all of you to understand that in 2035 or before, your professional life may be changed by a company, product, technology which is not yet founded or invented. So this is very important for you to understand that whatever you have learned today, whatever skills you have today, those are very relevant for today, but might not be relevant for near future. So you should be open to learning new things. You should be open to, at least you should have an idea what other technologies are coming every day. Keep an eye on them and keep an eye on how these are going to change your life. How you can adopt this continuous learning: if you spend just 30 minutes per day, that is only 2% of your time, but in 10 years time you will be a completely different person. So your graduation from LAMS is not going to be the end of the world, it's just the start, and it's just the beginning of your career. So keep spending, keep investing on yourself, and that would help you a lot. Your employers will definitely provide you various professional development opportunities. You can do self study, you can use YouTube, you can read magazines, journals, whatever way you feel comfortable. It is more very easy these days compared to when it was like 10 years ago. So to adapt how to learn continuously, so it's very easy, even it's not very costly. YouTube is free. Self-study courses on Coursera, Udemy, or other platforms are very normal. Even some good employers also provide credits or pay for those professional development courses. So this is going to be one investment which will pays you throughout your career, definitely. Second thing, apart from changing yourself, is networking. uh, I would say uh, networking is the most underrated skills, both by the students as well as from the universities. You will rarely really heard from your seniors, your instructors, or from the career services office that okay, learn on or invest on yourself on your networking. But believe me, networking is the most underrated skills, and your networking will put you to places where your degree cannot or where your skills cannot. So keep thinking on these lines. Networking is a continuous process. It starts, you can do it anytime, and it should be part of your mind to like keep working on networking, because it is one skill which is underrated, and also its benefits are huge. Home to network with industry leaders, class fellows, peers, internship supervisor, colleagues, instructors, family, friends, LUMS community. LUMS is like the Luminate Association is the single biggest corporate network in our country. So reach out to the people, connect with them, and stay in contact. And how you can like when I graduated from LUM, the one job offer I got was I was working with Indus Motors for a project, and we did an event at LUMS, and which resulted in a job offer. So you can network with people on career fair, LinkedIn. You can do iftar dinners. you, you can go to alumni homecoming. So like there's plenty of opportunity. It's a very continuous process, but if you invest on this skills, networking skill, it will pays you huge benefit, uh, both at your current job, in excelling in your current job, and also for your getting future job offers, getting contracts. If even if you're considering becoming an entrepreneur, networking is a very important skill to get business orders, to get high resources. So there's like no limit on the benefits of networking. And do remember, it's not networking if you're not meeting new people. So going to the LUMS events and just staying close or only talking to the 10 people you already know, it's not networking. Networking is all about reaching out to new people and building connections. And one more important thing is, if you need some favor, if you need some support, and then you only reach out to someone, then it's not networking, it's asking for a favor. So networking happens when you don't have like any favor to ask immediately, even though you can ask it at later stage, but asking it immediately, it's not networking, it's just asking for a favor. It's just a question, how many of you are still in contact with your internship supervisors or your colleagues or the people you met at your workplace while you were working as an intern? Anyone? Come on. Okay, Abdul Makid has raised his hand. Anyone else? Okay, no problem. Corporate benefits, very important to understand because there are two things which will have a huge impact on your happiness, and one is your corporate benefit. We'll talk about the second one later on. So these are very basic things. All of you must have heard about it or already know about them, but still it's very important to understand what benefits. If you are adaptable, you are growing at a fast pace, you're a good learner, you are good at networking, your job will offer you a couple of benefits which are important for you to understand. Those are salaries, provident fund, gratuity, pension fund, stock options, leaves, leave encashment, leave fare assistant, health insurance, life insurance, gym, spa memberships, discounts on merchants, cars. So one component which is just very important among all these is salary, because salary is something which is different for every individual, and also this is something which you can really negotiate and you can ask for an increment at the time of hiring. For other benefits like provident fund or pension fund or health insurance or life insurance, usually these benefits are same within the same organization for everyone. So there is something you cannot negotiate. You cannot go and ask like, uh, give me more leave encashment or give me more contribution for my pension fund. But salary is something for which you can really negotiate. Other benefits usually remain more or less the same for everyone in the organization. In terms of salary, before going to the interview or before starting your job search, determine your financial need, like how much salary do you think do you really need, and do the homework before going to the interview, because at the end of the interview you will definitely be asked about what are your salary expectations. So do your homework, ask people about what is the expected salary of this role, reach out to the people, and do it early, because if you start doing this just 1 day or 2 days before going to the interview, people might not respond to your questions. So do start doing this homework early. And also during the interview, avoid giving a final number in the interview. So look for some diplomatic statements. You look for equal pay opportunities, equitable pay. So don't avoid giving a final number in the interview, but when you start negotiating with the HR, you can give your final number, like this is how much I'm expecting or this is how much I need from this job. And from my personal experience, and also when I do hire people from my team, usually when a job is offered uh, to an individual, usually people don't negotiate for their salary. So if let's suppose we have a job for an graphic designer and we do offer like 70K or 80K, usually people accept the offer immediately. And usually I've even at the first, for my first or second job, I didn't negotiate and still feel bad about it. So do negotiate, because if my budget is 85K for a job, just giving an example, I will not offer a job with the 85K budget to any individual. So I will keep in my mind the room for negotiation, and I will may start from 70K, 75K. So I'll keep some budget in my hand to negotiate at the later stage. So do keep in mind that this amount which is offered to you may not be like the final amount which an employer can offer. So do negotiate your salary before accepting the offer. Next very important component, that is provident fund. Provident fund is usually a fund which is invested on behalf of the employee by the employer. Usually employee and employer contribute equal amount, and that amount is invested on behalf of the employer, on behalf of the employee into a fund. So let's suppose your employer says that I will contribute 5%, I'll deduct 5% of your salary and I will add 5% from my end, and that money is invested on your behalf into the provident fund of the organization. So variety of provident fund opportunities are available, fixed income, equities, also Sharia compliant options are available. So it's important to understand what a provident fund is. And always if your employer is offering you a provident fund, do accept it, because this is an if your employer is contributing 5% to your provident fund, that is like extra income for you. So keep it in mind that even though they will be deducting 5% from your salary, but they will be contributing additional 5. And at the time of leaving the company, you can take a loan against that investment, or you can also get the amount back when you are leaving the organization. By law, no corporate employer can keep your savings or your provident fund with themselves. So they are bound under any circumstances, even whatever the circumstances you are leaving the organization, employer is bound to pay you back your provident fund. Gratuity, this is an amount which is given to the employee at the end of the period of employment. Usually there are variety of opportunities which are available. Like some employers think if you complete a 5 year of service with us, we'll give you five salaries. It's just to encourage the employee to stay more time with an organization. Some organizations thinks if you stay with us for 3 years, we'll give you one additional salary if you decide to leave. So gratuity is usually paid when someone is leaving the employment. So it is not paid like every month or at the end of the year. It is only paid when someone is leaving the organization. So by the laws of Pakistan, an employer should offer a provident fund or a gratuity to the employees. So if you, when you're talking to your employee, do keep this in mind. This is the opportunity or this is the responsibility, legal responsibility of an employer to pay you provident fund or gratuity, at least one of them. If they're offering both, it's a plus. A pension fund, not many employer offer pension funds in Pakistan, but some do. So when I was working at Nestle, we do have the privilege of a pension fund. So it's work more or less same like a provident fund. Employer add some amount from their end and they deduct some certain amount. So for like for Nestle, they were deducting 3% of my salary and adding additional 3% from their side, and they were investing this money to my pension fund on my behalf. And it also comes with the tax benefits. You can read more about online what tax benefits pension funds. So but usually pension funds are not very common in our country, but some good employers do offer pension funds. Stock offers are very common in startups. So stock options are offered to retain the talent and encourage them to contribute to the success of the business. Usually, you would not see stock options for a very mature or large organization, but you would definitely see from startups organization, or if you decide to work for a tech company in the US or elsewhere, you might listen about stock options. So this is work like they ask you to buy the company share at a certain price, which is usually very low, and allow you to exercise those shares or sell those shares when the company is acquired or company goes for an IPO. One example, some of my colleagues who were working for Kareem when Kareem was acquired by Uber. So many of my colleagues and friends made a lot of money by selling their stocks when Kareem was acquired by Uber. So if you get a chance, do study more about what stock options are, what are the terms and conditions offered to you by your employer, and do opt for stock options. Uh, Health insurance, some companies offer only IPD insurance, some do offer both OPD, IPD, dental care, VN. Usually it is offered for self, spouse, and children, but some really good employers also offer health insurance for parents. Like my current employers gives healthcare coverage for my parents. So this is a huge plus, especially if your parents are above the age of 50 or 60, because at that time the healthcare needs start arising because of the chronic diseases. So if your employer is offering health insurance, do accept that. This is a big huge plus. Life insurance, different companies have different policies, but usually it is like in case of a natural death it is 24 salaries, or in case of an accidental death 36 or 48 salaries which are given to your loved ones. So you're not going to get benefited, but if you have family, if you have people who are dependent on them, and in case in event of an unfortunate event of death, they would get some financial benefits so that they can keep living or they can afford their expenses. uh, Important thing about corporate benefits: don't accept a job offer if your employer is not offering any one of provident fund or gratuity. This is mandatory for employers to give. So if your employer is not offering, so it might not be a good employer. Exercise, if your employer says they will contribute maximum up to like 5% of your salary or 10%, so whatever the maximum limit is, do exercise that. Contribute maximum, get maximum contribution from your employer. Health insurance for parents is a huge plus. And this is the last part of my presentation, and then we'll move on to question and answers and discussions. So the two things which are going to have huge impact on your personal wellness and well-being, that is, one is your personal finances, and two is who's you're going, like Yusra talked about her expectations from her boss. So your boss will have a huge impact on your mental health, your well-being, and also your personal finances. So first we'll talk about personal finances. I would urge all of you to consider small savings from the very beginning of your career, and that will give you huge plus huge benefits at your later stage, or at least give you some confidence in event of a job loss or some unfortunate events. So I come up with some numbers. I done some numbers, and if we talk about, there is like student one who just after getting the first job start investing only 10,000 rupees per month, and that is invested in a growth fund which is growing at a rate of 12%. By the age of 60, that individual will have 64.9 million rupees saved on this person. So just imagine, this is just 10,000, no increment. If you even start getting 10% increments on year basis, and you keep your growing investment by 10% as well, so this would even become a much higher number. The second individual, second students who think, no, I need to establish myself first, I need to buy a car, I need to go to holidays, and then I'll start investing at the later stage. If that person start investing at the age of 45, by the age of 60, that person will have only 50 million rupees, even though rest of all the calculations growth rate same. So uh, think about investing even small amounts. It could be 5,000, 10,000, but it will give you huge flexibility, both at the time of your retirement and also if there is some unfortunate event in your personal life. uh, your boss will have a bigger impact on your mental health than your therapist, your family, or your friends. So what I've seen, even I made this mistake once or twice in my life. So when a job offer is given to a student, they usually do research about what company they're going to work with, what peers they are going to work with, or what salary they are going to get. But usually people ignore searching about their boss. So always before accepting a job offer, do some research about who's your boss is going to be, what is his or her leadership style, how they delegate work, how they give benefits. Even you can ask these questions even during the interview process, or at least before accepting the job offer, you can inquire about who your boss is going to be. uh, my to my experience, an average company with a good boss is much better than a good company with a bad boss. And believe me, people don't leave bad companies, people leave bad managers. So be very careful about who your boss is going to be. So again, be very careful who you are going to work with. And that's it from my end. Now I'll be happy to whatever questions you have, whatever arguments, comments you have, just feel free to share for your learning as well as for all of us. Just feel free to ask if you have any questions.
Yes, thank you, Bilal. Now, if somebody has any questions, please, Abdul Mukeed. Yes.
Sir, I just want to ask that how much GPA matters in this transition from campus to corporate?
Mm, So, Abdul Makid, honestly, for from apart from very few companies, so your GPA, so having a good GPA is not bad. First thing, so like having a good GPA is not bad on something which is going to hurt you ever, because you might want to go for PhD or masters. So your GPA would definitely help you out there. But apart from one or two companies, especially the consulting companies, I have never seen any employer asking me for my GPA or asking me for my transcripts. So if you have bad CGPA, don't feel bad about it. If you have a good CGPA, it's okay. It will benefit you one way or the other way sometime. But I really don't think so. The employer will be a good employer will be judging you based on your CGPA only. I have seen people who had 4 CGPA and were struggling in their professional life, and I have seen people with a 2.49 CGPA going to very top positions very quickly. So the focus should be on having a good CGPA. Not to offend the people who have like 4 or 3.8 CGPA. It's a big plus. There's no harm having a good CGPA. But if you don't have, don't feel concerned that you will not good to get up. I have seen many people with 2.49 CGPA or 2.5 CGPA getting to really good jobs and getting to really decent and nice positions in the corporate sectors.
All right, sir. So, sir, then what is actually the distinguishing factor? Like, जो employers हैं what they are looking for in the employees for the fresh graduates. अगर उनके लिए distinguishing factors GPA नहीं है, then how they are going to evaluate that this person is, a best fit for a company, for a multinational company and any other company they're hiring.
I think two, three things. If I go back to my slide, there was a slide on it. So adaptability, your passion for learning, and how much, because if I have a task, I have some work, I need to assign it to someone, and I will definitely assign it to someone I can rely on. I would not want to hurt someone saying, "Oh, sorry, sir, मेरे घर पे गेस्ट आ गए थे, मैं काम नहीं कर सका, सर आई एम सॉरी, मुझे आज कहीं जाना पड़ गया है," या पीपल हु जस्ट से, "ओके, मेरा भी दिल नहीं कर रहा, आई विल डू इट आफ्टर 3 days." So someone who is going to share the workload and the pain of their boss. So a good employee, to me, a good employee is someone who is going to share the workload of his or her boss. So if you can, and also how adaptable you are, because your university is not going to teach everything which we completely understand that. Every employer understand that. Any student who is coming, regardless of which university they are coming from, but if someone is curious to learn, and if someone is adaptable and passion for learning and adaptability and reliability, I would say. So we completely understand that कि आपके पास सब कुछ skills नहीं होंगी when you are coming from the university. Even if you have some skills, their applicability in the professional life would be different from the academic life. So I would focus on, again, on two, three things: cultural fit, adaptability, how curious you are, your learning ability, and how serious you are about this job. So always, if you are going to an interview, just tell them like, this job really matters to you. You search about the company, search about the employer, search about the industry, search about the trends in that industry. So take that job very serious. If you really want to get into that job, take it very serious.
I hope
Zaire says
you
one
got
should
the
be
answer.
energetic, loud, and clear
Yes,
in
I
interview,
got it.
confident, passionate to learn. Apart from, one should know
Thank you so
about the
much, sir.
company. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Zaire. You made really good points. It's very important. Any other questions? No one? Even
Ab-
okay. Go ahead,
Abdul
Abdul
Majid.
Majid.
So I just joined the session a bit late. So if you could please go over your short introduction, like what you are doing and how you're doing.
Okay. Okay. So I did my bachelor's in business administration from International Islamic University, and I did my master's in business administration from LUMS in 2013. Apart from that, I did after working for 8 years, I took a break and went to the United States for my second master's in public health and health administration from the Johns Hopkins University. Apart from that, I also did few executive courses, including one course at Oxford University. I have worked at Nestle, Lafarge, Fatima Memorial Hospital, and currently I'm working as head of business planning and development at Shalamar Institute of Health Sciences. If you have any, okay, so there's a question: how can we present ourselves as a good fit for the company as a fresh graduate in the interview? So the first and foremost thing is take your internships very serious. So try to get into the companies you really want to work with. So your internship should lead you towards getting a job at that company. So when you're going for an internship, take it very serious, develop your connections there, and try to get, so start networking 1 or 2 years before your graduation if you are currently junior in your junior year or in your sophomore year. So even if you have missed, no problem. uh, be well prepared for your interview. Learn about the company, learn about the company, what exactly they are doing, what products they are making, how those products are doing into the market. So do your homework and show your passion and be authentic. And but again, I would again recommend, uh, start doing networking, so that will put you to the places where your skills or your degree can't. So I would give you one example. So my younger brother, who also studied at LUMS, he was very passionate about working in General Electric, which is an American company. So from some sources, from some search, he came to know about that one executive from the same company is studying in the executive MBA at LUMS. So he learned from someone that there's a very senior executive is coming to LAMS for his executive MBA. So so he was in the MBA program. So throughout the 2 years, he stayed in contact with that individual. He kept meeting him because his target was getting into General Electric. And even for because executives are very busy, he did 1 or 2 assignments for that executive as well. So he built a very good connection during his 2 years at LAMS. And then there was no so he was when he graduated, it was very easy for him to get that job. So LAMS offers a very big corporate network to all of you. uh, every week there are many executives coming to Rosing to attend different courses, and on alumni homecoming, career fair, or variety of events which are happening at LAMS. So don't just wait for hear about a job opportunity from CSO and then apply and then start searching about company. Start doing it very early, maybe 6 months before you're graduating, or maybe 1 year before graduating. And during the interview, obviously, again, to answer the very specific question, during the interview, do your homework, learn about the company, learn about the people who are going to interview you, ask HR about before interview, like who's going to conduct your interview, what is their role, what is their profile. And also with technology, it has become very easy. Just stalk them on internet, stalk the company, stalk the individuals, and even learn about the people who are working from people who are working in that company. So there's no ending to it. And there's no one specific one-liner answer to this question, honestly.
I hope you got your answer. Who is typing? I think Uzair is typing something.
I was just asking about what should be the expected salary if we are graduating from LUM. So basically, people who are graduating from LUM, they have really higher expectations from the companies. And I guess there are hardly 10 to 15% jobs which are based in head offices. The rest of jobs are in different regions. So how should we fix that, the thought process behind that? I mean, what should be the expected salary? And I guess people should start from the scratch, which usually the people from IBA or LUM, they do not prefer. So what is your thought about that?
I think because I was in the MBA program, and our placement office used to share the numbers of the previous batch. So they used to share the average salary of the batch which graduated last year. So that can serve as a one benchmark, and you considering 15 or 20% inflation, so you can keep in mind that what was the I'm not sure either the previous batch salaries currently the numbers are available with CSO or not. Maybe Yusra can better ask. That could be like one benchmark. Second is your own financial needs. So you determine that this is how much salary I must need uh, because if you are not happy, your financial needs are not met, you will definitely be dissatisfied. So and also, even if you know people from other universities, from if your friends from high school or your seniors from high school are working in other companies, so you or in the same company you're going to interview for, so you can take that as a benchmark. So what salary you should expect. So there's no final answer like you should be aiming for 100,000 rupees or 150,000 rupees, because there's no final number to it. But you can look at for certain you can develop your own benchmark. This is something I really need. And also, there's a huge gap from company to company. So maybe if you are a CS major and you are working for a software house, your expected salary shall be very different from someone who is going to work from an NGO, or if you are going to work for a charitable organization. So ask your seniors, because I'm sure you know many people in LAMS who graduated before you, ask them about what this company is offering, and then also compare it with your financial needs.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions before we end this session? Okay. Okay, Umar. Yes, please.
Hey, I hope you're doing well. My question to you would be, you've just told you've worked in the corporate sector for 8 years, right?
Yeah.
So how's your corporate satisfaction been all this time? Especially now that you've been to John Hopkins and Oxford as well with the executive courses. Uh, how's your corporate satisfaction in your job right now versus when you started?
Okay. So thank you, Umar, for asking this question. So so this is something very personal because there are people who feel happy and thrive in the corporate sector. There are people who feel happy or thrive in for charitable organizations or NGOs or hospitals. So definitely, I feel more comfortable, more happy, and not for profit because this is very something very personal because uh, whatever I currently do at the end of the day, it is going to help the community, individuals, and the people who are living below the poverty lines and people who are in dire needs of healthcare. In corporates, it's very different. You work, and at the end of the day, someone, your shareholders or some individuals who own the company, are going to get the maximum benefits. So it's very personal. So like many of my friends who work in Shell, Telnor, many all Unilever, Procter and Gamble. So it's very personal. But for myself, so I feel more happy when I started working for a not-for-profit organization. But again, if you go to the any top US business schools, if you because the US business schools every year share their numbers of what their graduates are earning. So not for profits or hospitals, these segments are those which make the least amount of money compared to the people who are working in venture capital or technology or FMCGs. So but at the same time it's come with good quality of life, good work-life balance. So like for myself, like my classmates who work in corporates, if they reach home at 7 p.m., family says, "Oh, you are early today," but I usually get home by 4:30. So it's a trade-off. It's up to you what you want to get. So it's very individual, but to me, it's been very satisfying.
I hope you got the answer. Are there any other questions? Okay. So I have sent this feedback form. Kindly fill this feedback form and let us know how did you find this event. Thank you so much, Bilal. Thank you for the informative session. And if you have any other questions, you can always come to CSO or email us at cso@lums.edu.pk. We also offer one-on-one counseling, and we also connect you to alumni. So yeah, thank you for your time. Thank you for your presence, Bilal. Thank you so much. Stay tuned
Thank
for
you.
the upcoming sessions. Goodbye.
Okay.
Allah Hafiz.
Thank you. Bye bye.